Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get real about one of the most celebrated and honestly misunderstood titles in our economy, the entrepreneur. What does it actually mean to be one?
Okay, so let's just dive right into it. The word entrepreneur is everywhere, isn't it? From tech billionaires to the owner of your local coffee shop. But what does it actually mean? What's the core DNA of entrepreneurship?
To really get this, we've got to strip away all the hype and the myths and get right to the core definition. Let's separate the signal from all that noise.
Okay, here's the absolute key. It's not just about starting a business. It's a very specific process. And it's built on 4 pillars. First, seeing an opportunity. Second, innovating to grab it. Third, creating real value. And fourth, navigating all the risks and uncertainties that are guaranteed to come your way.
And this brings us to a super important distinction. An entrepreneur is really driven by innovation and this deep desire for scalable growth. A small business owner, on the other hand, might master a proven model to create a stable, amazing local business. Now, both are absolutely vital to our communities, but their mindsets, they're fundamentally different.
So once you decide to embark on this journey, you quickly find out that entrepreneurship isn't just a single highway. It's more like a network of different paths, and each one has its own unique landscape.
You've basically got 2 main approaches. On one hand, you have the innovation-driven ventures, the ones creating something totally new, like the very first ride-sharing app. But then, on the other hand, you have imitative ventures. These take a winning formula and apply it to a new market. Think of a beloved local bakery that expands to the next town over. It's still entrepreneurship, just a different flavor of it.
This table really gets to the why behind it all. Are you building a lifestyle business that gives you freedom and a good income? Or are you aiming for that explosive rocket ship growth with a startup that's designed to scale? Or maybe you're launching a social venture where the real measure of success is the impact you have. Your why is going to shape every single decision you make.
So we've talked about the what and the how, but why does any of this matter to all of us? Even if we're not planning on starting a business ourselves, what's the actual impact on the world?
Well, the numbers tell a pretty powerful story. These new ventures, they're the lifeblood of job creation. While the big established giants might go through ups and downs, it's the young, hungry companies that are consistently creating net new jobs. They're also kind of like our society's research and development labs, They're constantly experimenting with the ideas that will shape all of our futures.
The economist Joseph Schumpeter gave this whole phenomenon a name that's as brilliant as it is, well, a little terrifying: creative destruction.
It's this relentless force of progress. It's how an entire industry, one built on the magic of chemical film and the quiet of a dark room,
Was completely reinvented by digital sensors. And then, believe it or not, reinvented again by the phone that's in your pocket right now. This process, it's a real double-edged sword. It creates these incredible new opportunities, but it can also be a really painful transition for the people and the industries that get left behind.
So that's the impact on society as a whole. But what about the person who actually chooses this path? I mean, to be an entrepreneur is to basically step into an arena of extreme highs and, let's be honest, crushing lows.
The appeal is obvious, and it's powerful. The freedom to be your own boss, to bring your vision to life. The ability to actually see your work make a real difference in people's lives. And yeah, of course, the potential for truly life-changing financial rewards. But we have to be real about the risks. The financial gamble is serious. You really could lose it all. There's career risk, too. A failed venture doesn't always look so neat and tidy on a conventional resume. And then there's the emotional toll. The weight of carrying an entire company on your shoulders, that can be absolutely immense.
Okay, so to wrap this all up, let's just shatter some of the most persistent myths that really get in the way of understanding what entrepreneurship is truly all about.
First up, the big one. We've all heard it, the idea of the natural-born entrepreneur. That some people just have a special entrepreneur gene, and the rest of us, well, we don't.
But the reality is the total opposite. The research on this is so clear. Entrepreneurship is a discipline. It's a set of skills, things like spotting opportunities, managing finances, leading a team, that anyone, and I mean anyone, can learn, practice, and get good at.
All right, next up, let's tackle the light bulb myth. This is the idea that success is all about that one single moment of genius, right? That completely original idea that no one has ever had before.
Well, the truth is, execution is everything. Think about it. Google wasn't the first search engine. Facebook wasn't the first social network. They won because they just plain out
outworked, outsmarted, and out-executed everybody else.
And finally, there's the myth of the entrepreneur as this high-stakes gambler, someone who just bets the entire farm on some wild hunch.
Here's the truth, and it's a little counterintuitive. The best entrepreneurs aren't risk takers, they're risk managers. They are absolute masters at identifying the biggest unknowns in their plans and then systematically taking the risk out of them, with data, with experiments, and with a ton of smart planning.
So by busting these myths, we can see entrepreneurship for what it really is. It's not some magical gift. It's a disciplined process for creating value in a world that's full of uncertainty. It's a path that can be learned, it can be practiced, and it can be perfected. So the real question is, what problem are you inspired to solve?
We hear the word entrepreneurship thrown around constantly. It's everywhere, from stories about tech billionaires to the person who just opened a new coffee shop on the corner. But what does it actually mean? Is it some kind of special talent you're born with, or is it something anyone can learn? Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut through all the noise and get to the real answer. So when I say the word entrepreneur, what's the first image that pops into your head? Is it some lone genius tinkering in a garage about to change the world? Or maybe a high-stakes gambler betting everything they have on one wild idea? Look, these are powerful images, for sure, but they're often more fiction than fact. So let's get down to it and separate the myth from the method. All right, so to really get what entrepreneurship is, we first have to talk about what it isn't. We're going to kick things off by busting some of the biggest myths out there. The stories that make this whole thing seem kind of intimidating, or maybe even impossible for most of us. I'm guessing a few of these sound pretty familiar, right? The idea of an entrepreneur gene, that single eureka moment, the all-or-nothing bet against the odds, and of course, the overnight success story we see in the headlines. But the truth is, these are just stories. The reality is actually way more accessible, and honestly, a whole lot more interesting. So if it's not about being a born genius or a wild risk taker, then what is it? Let's build a real definition from the ground up. At its core, entrepreneurship is a process, and it's built on 4 key elements. Okay, so here's a solid working definition. I know, it sounds a little academic, but stick with me. The key word here is process. It's not a single event. It's not a personality type. It's a process of finding opportunities, pulling together the right resources, and innovating to create real value, all while navigating uncertainty. So let's break that down, piece by piece. First up, opportunity. This is the absolute starting point. It's all about spotting a problem that needs solving, a gap in the market, or a need that isn't being met. It's about seeing a chance to make something better for a group of people, whether that's in business or just in society. Second, we've got innovation. And this is so important. Innovation doesn't always mean inventing a time machine. It can be a brand new technology, absolutely, but it can also be a new business model, a smarter process, or even just a clever way of combining old ideas in a completely new way. Third, and this one is totally non-negotiable, is value creation. An idea is just an idea until it makes a real, tangible difference for someone else. This is the ultimate test, right? Is your thing making a customer's life easier or more fun? Are you solving a real problem for a community? That's value. And finally, number 4, risk and resource commitment. You've got to put some skin in the game. That means your time, your money, your reputation. But, and this is a big but, notice it's not about extreme risk. Smart entrepreneurship is all about managing that risk, making calculated bets when you don't have all the answers. Oh, this is such a great way to clear things up. We tend to lump all these terms together, but they're actually pretty different. An entrepreneur, they're laser-focused on growth and innovation. A small business owner, who is incredibly important, by the way, is often more focused on stability, using a business model that's already proven. And then you've got the intrapreneur, the person acting like an entrepreneur but inside a big company. 3 totally distinct roles, all creating value. It's also really important to get this. Entrepreneurship is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It really exists on this wide spectrum, and it's driven by all sorts of different ambitions and goals. So you have ventures that are driven by pure cutting-edge innovation. Think about a new biotech company or an AI platform. Super high risk, but also super high potential. But then you have imitative ventures, and these take a proven idea, like a great coffee shop, and they just apply it to a new neighborhood or a new audience. Both are absolutely valid forms of entrepreneurship, and both can create a ton of value. And what the founder wants out of it totally shapes the business too. Is the main goal to support a certain lifestyle you love? That's a lifestyle venture. Is it to scale as fast as humanly possible and take over a huge market? That's a growth-oriented venture. Or is the primary mission to solve a social or environmental problem? Well, that's a social venture. Your why really dictates the how. So why do we talk about this so much? I mean, why does it matter? Because entrepreneurship isn't just another career path. It's actually a fundamental engine for our economy and for society as a whole. The economist Joseph Schumpeter came up with this brilliant term for it: creative destruction. It's this idea that new ideas and new companies come in and they completely disrupt the old way of doing things. Just think about how streaming completely blew up the video rental industry. Now, that disruption can be tough, for sure, but it is the engine of progress. And if you need proof, just look at the data. That bar on the left, that's new and young companies. It absolutely dwarfs the net number of jobs created by big, established firms. While the big guys hire and sometimes lay off, it's the startups that are consistently creating the brand new jobs that grow the economy. That is a massive impact. Okay, so if it's not magic, what does this path actually look like? Well, the great news is that it's a process. It's a series of steps that you can actually learn, manage, and get better at over time. And this is basically the roadmap. See? It all starts with that little spark, spotting the opportunity. From there, you shape that spark into a solid concept, and then you test it with real data to see, hey, is this actually going to work? Then comes the hard part of pulling together the resources, the team, the money. Only then do you launch. And here's the key. Launching isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun for a feedback loop, where you learn if you should scale up or pivot and try something new. It's a constant cycle of learning. So look, if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this right here. Entrepreneurship is not some mysterious gift that only a few special people have. It is a discipline. It is a set of skills, a way of thinking that anyone can learn, practice, and improve. So, we've busted the myths and we've walked through the actual process. We've seen that entrepreneurship isn't magic, it's a method for creating value in the world. The framework is pretty clear. So the only question left is the one right there on your screen.